It was a quiet evening in the heart of the city. The air outside shimmered with neon light and the sound of laughter spilling from elegant restaurants. Inside one of them, Livier, a waiter named Julian prided himself on being the gatekeeper of class. He moved like he owned the place, his shoes polished to perfection, his smile sharp but empty. He believed this restaurant was reserved for a certain kind of customer, the kind who could afford to matter. That night, the door opened, and in walked a family that didn't fit his idea of belonging. A man in a slightly worn blazer, his wife in a simple dress, and a young girl clutching a small purse like it held her entire world. They paused by the entrance, eyes full of quiet wonder. To Julian, they looked ordinary, and in his world, ordinary people weren't welcome. He straightened his tie, scanning them from head to toe, and let out a breath that sounded more like a laugh. "Good evening," he said, voice dripping with condescension. "Can I help you with directions?" The father smiled politely. "We have a reservation, under the name Cole." Julian's brow lifted. "Cole?" He flipped through the reservation list like he was searching for proof of a lie. Must be a mistake. Are you sure you're in the right restaurant? There's a family diner 2 blocks down, great for budget-friendly meals." His words cut sharper than he realized. The little girl's smile faded, and the mother looked down embarrassed. But the father didn't react. He just kept that same calm expression, steady, measured. "We made a reservation here, for tonight," he said quietly. Julian smirked, shaking his head. "I'm sorry, sir, but our tables are fully booked. You might want to try somewhere that's more—" He hesitated, eyes flicking to their clothes. "Casual." The hostess, who had been watching from the corner, stepped forward quickly. "Actually, Julian, we do have a reservation under the name Cole," she said softly. "Table 6. Julian froze. "What? That's the VIP table." The hostess gave a small warning glance. "It's booked," she said simply, and guided the family toward it. Julian stood there, humiliated, but not enough to learn. As the family sat down, he muttered under his breath, "Must have been some clerical error." He stalked over to their table with a forced smile, holding menus like they were holy relics. "Our specials tonight begin at $75 per dish. I just wanted to make sure you're aware before ordering." The mother smiled politely. "That's fine." But the waiter wasn't done. He leaned closer, lowering his voice. "Some guests get surprised when they see the bill." The little girl tugged her father's sleeve. "Daddy, can we still get dessert after?" Julian chuckled softly. "Dessert here is quite something. Perhaps a bit out of range for some guests, but worth dreaming about." The father looked at him evenly. "We'll have the chef's tasting menu," he said calmly. Julian blinked. "That's the most expensive." "I know," the man interrupted gently. "Thank you." Julian's fake smile faltered. He turned away, muttering, "Big mistake." As the night went on, Julian continued to treat them like an inconvenience, serving them last, ignoring their requests, even rolling his eyes when the little girl accidentally spilled water. He laughed under his breath. Guess it's their first time in a real restaurant. But the father said nothing. His calmness unnerved the waiter. It wasn't weakness. It was something else. Something quiet, controlled, powerful. When dessert finally arrived, the chef himself brought it out, a rare courtesy. "For our special guests," he said warmly. Julian's jaw tightened. "Special guests?" The chef smiled at the father. "I hope everything has been to your liking, Mr. Cole." The waiter froze. Mr. Cole? Why did the chef know his name?
The man smiled politely. "It's been educational." The family finished their meal and left a generous tip on the table. But as Julian reached for it, he found not cash, but a small card, elegant, embossed in gold letters, Cole Holdings Group. Beneath it, a signature, Raymond Cole, founder and CEO. Julian's breath caught. He had heard that name before. Raymond Cole, the billionaire investor rumored to be buying several restaurants in the city. But surely not this man, not the man in the old blazer. The next morning, Julian came into work grumbling about his night until the manager called an emergency meeting. The entire staff gathered in the dining area. The manager's tone was unusually formal. "Everyone, please welcome our new owner, Mr. Raymond Cole." The doors opened, and there he was, the same man Julian had mocked the night before. But now he wasn't wearing a worn blazer. He was in a tailored suit, eyes steady, presence commanding, but calm. Julian's knees almost buckled. His words echoed in his head. "There's a diner 2 blocks down." The staff clapped awkwardly, unsure. Mr. Cole gave a small, humble smile. "Thank you," he said. "I bought Lavier not because it needed new furniture or better food, but because it needed something far rarer, respect." His gaze moved slowly, resting for a moment on Julian. "Last night, I came here as a customer. No title, no wealth, just a man trying to share a meal with his family. What I found was not poor service, but poor character." The room was silent. Julian's throat went dry. Mr. Cole continued, "I've seen arrogance disguised as professionalism before, but never so proudly worn." He turned to the staff. "From this day forward, no one who works here will be judged by appearance, and no guest will ever be made to feel small for not fitting your idea of wealth." The manager nodded nervously. "Of course, sir. We'll retrain everyone immediately." But Mr. Cole wasn't finished. And as for the waiter who decided kindness was optional, Julian's heart pounded. "I don't believe in firing people to prove a point," Mr. Cole said softly. "Instead, I believe in giving them a chance to understand the weight of their actions." He turned toward Julian. "Starting tomorrow, you'll work here as a busser. You'll clean tables, refill glasses, and serve everyone, including those you once looked down on."
Julian's pride shattered. "Sir, I didn't know who you were." Mr. Cole's voice was calm but firm. "That's exactly the problem. You shouldn't have needed to." The staff whispered among themselves as Julian lowered his head, shame burning through him. For the first time, he saw the man he had mocked not as a customer, but as something far greater. Someone who had the power to destroy him, but chose to teach him instead. Days turned into weeks. Julian worked quietly, cleaning tables, avoiding eye contact. The family visited again. This time, he served them without a single word of condescension. When the little girl smiled and said, "Thank you, mister," something in him softened. For the first time, he understood what Mr. Cole meant. But one night, as Julian finished closing up, he noticed Mr. Cole sitting alone at a corner table, reading through papers. There was something different about him. Troubled, distant. Julian hesitated, then approached. "Sir, I didn't know who you were." Mr. Cole's voice was calm, but firm. "That's exactly the problem. You shouldn't have needed to." The staff whispered among themselves as Julian lowered his head, shame burning through him.
For the first time, he saw the man he had mocked, not as a customer, but as something far greater. Someone who had the power to destroy him, but chose to teach him instead. Days turned into weeks. Julian worked quietly, cleaning tables, avoiding eye contact. The family visited again. This time, he served them without a single word of condescension. When the little girl smiled and said, "Thank you, mister," something in him softened. For the first time, he understood what Mr. Cole meant. But one night, as Julian finished closing up, he noticed Mr. Cole sitting alone at a corner table, reading through papers. There was something different about him. Troubled, distant. Julian hesitated, then approached. "Sir, I didn't know who you were." "Good, because remembering matters, especially now." Julian frowned. "What do you mean?" Mr. Cole sighed, glancing toward the window where the city lights flickered. "Let's just say Lavière isn't the only place with rot under the surface." He stood, gathering his things. "There are bigger tables to turn, Julian. Much bigger." Julian watched him walk away, a cold unease settling in his chest. He didn't know what Mr. Cole meant, but the tone in his voice wasn't about restaurants. It was about something deeper. Something is coming. The next morning, rumors spread through the staff, whispers that Lavière's parent company had been hiding secrets, that someone was planning a quiet takeover. Julian overheard two managers talking. "If the rumors are true," one said nervously, "Cole's not just buying the restaurant, he's taking down the entire chain." Julian froze. Was this what Mr. Cole had meant? Justice, yes, but on a scale no one saw coming? That night, as the restaurant emptied, Julian stepped outside and saw a sleek black car waiting by the curb. Mr. Cole stood beside it, speaking quietly into his phone. When he noticed Julian watching, he gave a slight nod, half warning, half invitation. Julian hesitated, heart racing. Something told him this story wasn't over. The lesson he had learned was only the beginning. Mr. Cole slipped into the car, the door closing with a soft, decisive click. As the taillights disappeared into the night, Julian whispered to himself, "What's he planning?" And somewhere in the distance, the world of polished arrogance and quiet revenge began to tremble. Because the man they once underestimated was just getting started. Respect is the currency of the soul. Spend it wisely, because one day the people you look down on might be the ones looking down at you. And as for Mr. Cole, his lesson for the world has only begun. The city had no idea what was coming. Behind the elegant glass walls of Lavière, something far greater than fine dining was being cooked up. Justice. Raymond Cole hadn't just come to teach one arrogant waiter a lesson. He had come to uncover a culture, a rot that had spread far beyond one restaurant, the kind that thrived where titles excused cruelty and money masked moral decay. Julian, the once snobby waiter, had no idea how deep it went. He thought his punishment ended with humility, cleaning tables, serving those he once mocked. But in truth, he was standing at the edge of a storm.
Julian hesitated. "What's going on, sir? Those men?" "Thieves in suits," Mr. Cole said simply. "But they're not the only ones. This restaurant was the tip of something larger, a chain of businesses where greed replaced purpose." He leaned forward, voice low. "I built Cole Holdings on one belief. People matter more than profit. Somewhere along the line, that belief was corrupted." Julian frowned. "But why involve this place? Why come here pretending to be a customer? Mr. Cole looked at him, eyes steady. Because you can't see rot from the boardroom, Julian. You have to walk the floor. You have to feel how people are treated when they have nothing to offer. Julian's throat tightened. The memory of his own arrogance flashed before him. The sneer, the mockery, the little girl's fading smile. I understand now, he said quietly. Mr. Cole nodded. Good. Then you can help me fix it. Julian blinked. Me? Yes, Mr. Cole said, because you've lived both sides, the arrogance of ignorance and the humility of truth. That makes you valuable. For the next few weeks, Julian worked directly under Mr. Cole's quiet supervision. Together, they reviewed files, questioned staff, and helped restructure Lavier into something new, something fair. The mood in the restaurant shifted. Kindness became culture. The chefs laughed again. The hostess no longer walked on eggshells. Even customers noticed. But peace never comes without resistance. One night, a black car pulled up outside the restaurant after closing. From it stepped a man with a polished smile and cold eyes, Victor Lang, the regional director of the restaurant group. He'd heard of Mr. Cole's reforms and didn't like them one bit. Mr. Cole, he said, striding inside without invitation, I understand you've been interfering. Mr. Cole didn't rise from his chair. Interfering? He repeated. That's a strange word for cleaning up fraud. Victor smiled tightly. You've made enemies in high places. You think you can buy your way into our world and rewrite the rules? Julian stood nearby, heart pounding. Mr. Cole met Victor's gaze evenly. I'm not rewriting them, he said softly. I'm reminding people they exist. Victor leaned forward, voice low. I may own this restaurant, but the chain still belongs to me, and I decide who stays and who goes. Mr. Cole tilted his head. Do you? He pulled a folder from his briefcase and slid it across the table. Because as of this afternoon, I've acquired controlling interest in the entire chain.
Victor's confident smirk faltered. And, Mr. Cole continued, I've also filed a report with the Financial Bureau detailing the embezzlement under your leadership. Victor's hand twitched. You'll regret this, he hissed. Mr. Cole stood, his voice calm but final. No, Mr. Lang. The only people who regret anything tonight are the ones who built their empire on arrogance and forgot that the people they stepped on have long memories. Security appeared. Mr. Cole gave a small nod, and Victor Lang was escorted out, furious but powerless. Julian stood frozen, speechless. Mr. Cole turned to him. You see, Julian? Power doesn't corrupt everyone. Sometimes it reveals the ones who already were. That night, as the lights dimmed, Mr. Cole walked out to the restaurant floor. Empty tables, faint scent of wine and candle smoke lingering in the air. He looked around, almost wistful. Julian approached slowly. You did it, he said. You cleaned the house. Mr. Cole smiled faintly. Cleaning is never finished, Julian. It's something you do every day, in business, in life, in yourself. Julian nodded quietly. I think I finally understand what you've been teaching me. Mr. Cole's eyes softened. Then tell me, what did you learn? Julian took a breath. That respect isn't about who you serve, but how you serve. That no one's too small to matter, and no one's too powerful to fall. Mr. Cole's smile widened, genuine,
proud, then you've learned more than most men do in a lifetime."
For a long moment, they stood in silence. The city lights shimmered through the glass like tiny reflections of possibility. Then Mr. Cole's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen. His expression changed. Something serious. Julian noticed. "Sir, is everything okay?" Mr. Cole slipped the phone into his pocket. "It's an old problem," he said quietly, "but it seems it's just found a new home." Julian frowned. "What do you mean?" Mr. Cole looked out the window toward the skyline, toward the tallest building with the glowing logo of Cole Holdings at its peak. His voice lowered. "There are people inside my own company who haven't learned yet. People who think I'm too old to notice what they're doing." Julian's stomach tightened. "You mean—" Mr. Cole turned back to him. "Justice doesn't stop at the restaurant doors, Julian. It keeps walking." The older man straightened his cuffs and picked up his coat. "I'll need someone I can trust for what comes next." Julian blinked. "You mean me?" Mr. Cole's gaze held his. "You've already proven you can rise above your past. The next chapter will require people who remember what it feels like to be underestimated." Julian's heart pounded. "What's the next chapter?" Mr. Cole gave a small, knowing smile. "A boardroom," he said, "and a storm far bigger than this." He started toward the door, but before leaving he paused and glanced back. "Tell the staff to open early tomorrow. New day, new rules." As the door closed behind him, Julian stood alone in the empty dining room, feeling the weight of what had just begun. Outside, thunder rolled over the city, distant, low, and ominous. A storm was coming indeed. The once snobby waiter who had mocked a humble family was now standing at the threshold of something much larger. A war between integrity and corruption, fought not with fists, but with truth. And somewhere deep inside Cole Holdings, unseen hands were already moving, plotting their countermove against the man they once underestimated. Julian looked toward the glowing tower in the distance, his reflection flickering in the restaurant glass. He whispered to himself, "Let them come." Because this time, he wasn't just serving tables. He was serving justice. Arrogance builds walls. Humility opens doors. In the end, the same table that once served humiliation now serves redemption. And for those who think kindness makes you weak, remember, it's often the quietest souls who hold the loudest power. The lesson was never about revenge, it was about restoration. And as the night closed on La Vière, justice took its first breath of dawn.